in the beginning, so don't feel like I'm blowing past it. And anybody that goes, wait, stop, explain that again, or let's slow down, that's fine. A lot of what I have at the beginning is to help the congregation. And since we don't have that many, I'm going to go more toward singing in parts and ministry song. I'm good again. Is it working for you? Yep. So, okay. One thing I want to make sure that I point out to everybody is our goal, the thing we're trying to accomplish in doing this. I'm not trying to get everybody in this group to be a formal singer or to have this desire to learn to read music. I know a lot of times that's intimidating. That's probably why a lot of people didn't say it. They probably thought, I'm not really, I don't understand how to read music. I don't really think to be a singer. And so, church, when we sing, God wants us to understand the word and to praise Him in that way. When we think about the passages that we talk about when we talk about our singing, passages like Colossians 3:16, which says, "Let the word of praise dwell in you." That's a passage about our singing, and yet it's concentrating not so much on the notes and the blend and the harmonizing, but rather the fact that it's a way. And if you think about it, if I were to ask you to memorize something, it would be much easier if I said, "Can you memorize this paragraph?" or "Can you memorize the verse of this song?" Because somehow music does give us an ability to remember things. And the fact that it's a tune helps in that rhythmic pattern. So God did want the melody. It's more than just memorizing and saying the words. The music does matter and the singing matters. But at the same time, we all have varying abilities and varying interests. And so we understand the important part is the words and the heart. Think about Ephesians 5:18. Be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing, and making melody in your heart. So we might see someone and say, wow, they're a beautiful singer. They hit every note, they can sing all the parts. And then we see somebody else who maybe doesn't have the natural ability to sing. But what's going on in their heart may make them more beautiful to God than anybody in the room. And so I don't want, the reason I say all that is I don't want something like this for us to change our focus or to think that this is of more importance than this. But that being said, if we're going to preach, we think about the best way to deliver it so that people understand. If we're going to teach something, we do. So the fact that we're singing, we want to do it the very best that we can. I don't claim to be an expert, especially when it comes to reading music. Even though I owned a music store and have played several instruments all my life, reading notation is not my strong suit. I can read it, but not sight read it. So I don't look at a book and sight read music. I don't want you to think you're sitting at the feet of an expert. There are some, I would say, with Andrew's band background, there's going to be many things in music that he's going to know better than I do. So we're that again. I just want you to know my limitations there. My experience is mostly in what's called the number system. That's a system that guitar players use. So if you're watching TV and you see a band in the background, they're looking at charts. They're usually not looking at music notation. They're looking at numbers. And that number system is very similar. We're going to point that out to the shape notes in our hymn book. It's based on the same principle. So that's kind of the angle we're going to be coming from. I want it to be an encouragement, not a discouragement. It's so easy, especially for song leaders. I've known of congregations where they bring a guy in to do a singing workshop and have the song leader quit singing after that. They say, I don't know enough about it, I don't want to lead anymore. So they feel like if they can't use it, if they can't use their hand, I shouldn't be leading singing. That's just simply not true. That's not our goal here at all. If you want to learn those things and you feel that it will benefit you in the congregation, I'll be glad to help you with that, but that's certainly not our goal. So don't ever feel intimidated. We need every song leader that's willing to do it. There are so many things that we could talk about that have really nothing to do with music, but still matter. One of the things is the tempo of the song. It's so easy as a song leader when you get up, no matter how comfortable you feel that you are, there is a certain element of standing before people that would cause you to just maybe be a tick off in the way you're thinking. In other words, your mind's thinking about the song as it should, getting it started, maybe the pitch. All of those things, it's just before the prayer, after the prayer, what do we do? Those things are entering our mind and we may not even realize it. So what happens sometimes, we'll kick off a song like I Know That My Redeemer Lives, and we'll sing it like Night with Evan Payne. And we need to think about that. Night with Evan Payne and what that song says when we surround the table and we think about that night, rooted or the veil. So we sing that way. But when we sing Hallelujah, praise Jehovah, we should sing it like we're praising Jehovah. We should have that enthusiasm, and that starts with the song leader. But so many times, I've seen it happen to some of you guys as young song leaders, where you started wonderfully, and what happened? The congregation, hallelujah. Next thing you know, you slow down to meet them. And to some degree, you have to, because if you fight them the whole way through the song, it's just a battle, it's not work. So that's where, again, the congregation needs that help. They need to think about what we're singing and sing it like we mean it. So that matters more than you would ever imagine. Just bringing that up. So as a song leader, if you get up, and again, I know your job's not to preach before you sing, but if you get up and just say, let me remind you that this song says, I know my Redeemer lives. Let's sing like we know our Redeemer lives. That's all you have to say. You'd be shocked how much better than singing this thing. Doesn't blow on that fire. It's the facts. It's a what? Okay. So just those little things of trying to get it at the right tempo. We're going to talk a little bit about how to possibly get it in the right pitch. That's going to take a little more understanding of music. And so we'll talk about that. And again, we're not going to get that in one setting probably, but over time we can work on that. If you have any questions about that, we can definitely do that. I had a section in here to talk to the congregation. We may find another time to do this, trying to help them to understand what it means to follow the song leader. A lot of people say, well, if the guy's up there using his hand, I don't know what that means anyway, so there's no sense in looking at him. Well, to some degree, that may be true. But especially Zach is very good about, in certain parts of the song or at the ending of the song, you'll see him kind of telling us, slow down here, get some meaning out of this. You don't have to know a thing about what he's doing with his hand. When you see big eyes and he starts slowing down, you automatically follow that. So you don't have to be a music student to know all that, but it will matter. It will contribute. So again, as song leaders, take charge, and as there's people in the congregation, try to pay attention to what's happening there and it'll benefit. So we start thinking about pitch notation. We're not going to spend any time on this today. Anybody that wants to talk about this more, I'll spend whatever time you want. But that's kind of a drawing that I did on my own of the lines of a staff. And so when you're looking at your hymn book, you've got two staff lines. Let me see if I can go to here. Here's what you see. We call this top one the treble clef and the bottom one the bass clef. We could say G and F and all those kinds of things, but for now we're going to call it treble and bass. So when you see those 5 lines up there, those all represent an area where your voice should be. When you look back to what I had here, we refer to the places between them obviously as spaces, and then the actual lines as lines. So if I say that note's on the first line, the main reason I have this up here is that's the bottom line. Some people would think that's the top line. So I'm talking about the first line, and they're looking at the top line. That's the 5th line. So again, spaces start from the bottom as well. But then we'll say a space above, or 1 space above, or 1 space below. And if you see it extended out here, even though our hymn books do not necessarily go past the 5 lines, if a note gets really high, sometimes they'll give you a short line with that note on it, and it carries on the same exact distance. One way for you to think about this in a simple way would be like the notes on a piano key. If you're moving up a note, you're moving up from a line to a space. And so that's higher notes, the higher they go, lower, lower. Why do I bring that up? And people say, I already told you I don't want to learn to play or read music. Well, because when we looked at our hymn book, the soprano part, the melody of the song, happy birthday to you, that's the melody. That's on the top line. So you don't have to learn anything or know anything about reading music to know if there's 2 notes and one is higher on the staff than the other, that we're going to go up. When we sing that word, we're going to go up in pitch. If it goes down, we're going to go down in pitch. That matters. A lot of times, I'm going to go way ahead here to something. See the red line up there? That's the melody of the song. And that, you see how I brought it down for that 4th note? So I gave those 3 notes are the same note. I gave my life is down. I gave it's exactly the same note. We have a tendency in the church, and especially where we live, I'm not making fun of it because I love it and wouldn't be anywhere else, but we kind of swell. I gave my life to you. We're making a lot more into it. It's basically, I gave same note all the way across. I gave my life for thee, my precious, same note, precious blood I shed. So again, you don't read music, but you can follow that. Is anybody not following that? When you see that red line, you see those notes? I gave my life, Lord, back to the same note. I gave my life for thee, He, my precious blood I shed. Now, any of you guys that have a deeper voice, this right here is the bass note. This is the tenor note. Alto is the second one on the lower one on the top staff. Soprano is the top. There are so many people who say, I can't sing harmony. I don't understand harmony, who actually could if they had just had a little bit, because here's the thing. Look at the bass part right here. Let me get this in the right key. Because I'm not a bass singer, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to make fun of me, and then you're going to go get the live stream up, and you're going to watch it and make fun of me again. But that's okay. I've been made fun. We're going to go back to how I come with this. So this is the do note. We're going to come back and talk about that in a minute, but that do note's the bass. So I gave my life for thee. Look how easy that is. That's easier than singing the melody. It's all the same note. I gave my life for thee, my strength, and quickened from the dead. That's it. That's the bass. So if you've got a deeper voice, you can help this church out tremendously by singing that part, because we don't really have a lot of bass singers. And it's actually easier. The reason it's not as easy is because you don't hear it very often. If you hear somebody on TV singing, they never sing the bass by themselves, so you don't hear that singled out. Now, for someone like you that played in the band, you've heard these harmonies and may not always associate it because you're hearing more than just these four parts. But you've got horns playing this part, horns playing this part. When they put it all together, you go, wow, who's going what? But it's beautiful. That's what we can have here if we get. So let's back up now. I'm going way too fast, but I want to. Okay, here, let me bring this up. When you look at a piano, see where it says bass and it has that line from that F note to that B? There's nothing in stone written there, but that's somebody's opinion of where a bass voice is. So if we had a piano in here, and we were hitting that piano key, and I'd say, okay, Brandon, I don't think I'm Brandon. You get as low as you can get. You just keep going down. When he hits his lowest note that he can possibly reach, and I get done, I say, okay, Brandon, that's an F. That is here's middle C on the piano. You went one octave down, then you went another octave down, but not quite. You got to that F. That's as low as Brandon can go. And I say, okay, Brandon, now do do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, till you get as high as you can go. And let's say he does it. And by the way, I promise you, he can get above the middle C, but let's just say he gets to the middle C. And what would we say Brandon's voice is? Not what part he's singing. He's a bass singer. Because that's the range of his voice. If Brandon's voice runs from this D to the highest note he can get to that A, I'd say, well, you're a soprano voice. Now, trust me, Brandon's voice don't range there, but Joe's and Linda's might. So the female voices are sopranos. If you have a woman's voice that has a little deep with timbre, I don't mean deep, but like a Carolyn, she sings out. And that's where her voice is. So it's just slightly lower on that piano scale than the sopranos would be. Sopranos would be a really high-pitched voice. Male voices that are higher, like mine, are tenor generally. And then Brandon's voice I would consider maybe be bass, and Dylan. Steve's is very similar to that too. They may all be varied in some of their deeper in timbre. Now, does that mean Brandon can't sing tenor? No. It just means his vocal range is most comfortable in that spot. I say all that to say this. So often, people have a deep voice, and so they sing really low, but they're singing the soprano note. They're singing what we talked about here, that red line, but they're just singing it way down here, low. And two things happen. If they're the song leader, they pitch it really low, and then everybody has to sing low. If they're not the song leader, then they didn't get to pick the key, so maybe they can't sing it where it's actually written, so they sing an octave lower. When I say an octave lower, we're back to the piano. Right there's middle. Right there's middle C. Here's C below it. So if we go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, there's another C, there's a lower C. It goes wherever other direction. So the lead singer, the soprano guy, might be singing a C note, and somebody with Brandon's voice could be singing a C note. They're perfectly in tune with each other, but Brandon's singing an octave lower because his voice is in a different range. What we really need Brandon to do is sing bass, because that's where his voice range is, and that's a different part that will add to the harmony. And harmony is critical. the a cappella singing. I'm going to stop for just a second because we're going 100 miles an hour. Am I blowing anybody's mind? Is it above your head? Please don't hesitate to say it. It does us no good if I talk too fast and you don't understand.
I do understand. This stuff is really interesting. So, what stuff is about? I think. Yeah, I was gonna say, put it that way, it would be.
I do not mind. I'm telling, and I may have to tell you I don't know the answer because again, I'm not a music teacher. I mentioned a little bit ago the number system. So when we talk about the scale is that thing in grade school when the piano teacher would go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's a scale, a regular major scale. If we're doing it in the key of C, then here we have that written on the staff musically, and you say, I don't know what that means. Okay. That do note is written on the C line. Let me go back to that if I can find it. There. There's all the notes. Remember when you were a kid and they said look at the top staff, every good boy does fine. We're looking at the line. Every good boy does fine. Then we look at the spaces, F, A. I wish I could reach that. Every good boy does fine, F, A, C, E. But really all it is A, B, C, D, E, F. It just repeats that over and over. It's just where you're starting. So first note, that line in between those two staffs is middle C on the piano. Big, deep voices are down here. Higher pitched voices are up above that. If we come back then to what we were talking about, here's a graphic that shows, let me do this one, it's better. There's the staff, sopranos. Again, remember where I told you this graph, it shows kind of where you normally would sing. If we go back to the musical portion of that, sopranos usually sing in that range on the upper scale, altos in that range, tenors in this range, basses in this range. Again, that's your voice. That's not the note. In order to sing the part of it, you have to sing what was written for bass. But you may have a bass voice and still not be singing the bass part. Now we go back to what we said here a minute ago. Here's the scale. In regular music, like Andrew looks at when he's playing in the band, he's looking at notation, and all those look very similar. They're round notes. Some are hollow. Some are closed in black. Some have a tail. Some have two tails. But they're round notation. What we're looking at here is called shape notes. And it's a brilliant system that a guy came up with. So when you see that shape, you know which note you're on. So the triangle like that is always a do note. The do note is the key of the song. If the song's in the key of C, do is always going to be C. Re is one step up from that. Mi is another step up. And so on and so forth. There are a couple of them like between T and do where it's only a half step. We'll deal with that later. So when you sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, you're actually just singing up the scale. If you were in the key of A, instead of the notes going C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, they might go A, B, C because you started with an A. So it's 8 notes because there's 7 notes on a scale plus the octave higher is the 8th note. So you just start with whatever note you're on and it repeats. So the first note of the scale is a C note, and that's also the do note. The second note of the scale is a D note, that's the re. Okay, Greg, you're getting into music and we're getting bored. What's this all have to do with us saying in church? Well, because the notes that it takes to make up harmony in a musical scale is the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, and the 5th note. So, we're going to try something with me and Mike and whoever wants to be the other guy. Or we'll do me and Dylan and Brandon, or me and Zach and Brandon. Do, re, mi. Let me get ready to eat again. Instead of starting in oil feed. Oh, it's close. Do, mi, do, re, mi. Okay. Mi's in harmony with do. Do, mi, you do do, re, mi. Do, see how we're in harmony? If I go do, re, so you go re, do. But do and mi harmonies. So to so, the 5th note. Do, mi, so, do. 4th. Do. You go do. You go re. Good. I gave my life for me. Remember the pictures. So is the round note. Me is a diamond. Do is a triangle. Let's go to the song. Soprano has a what note? Round. But it's so. It's in the key of C. I'm going to tell you how you can find out it's in the key of C, but for now, just believe me. So the starting note for the lead singer, the guy leading the sing, is a so note, and that's this note. I gave my, okay? So you're going to do that. I gave my, but not yet. Alto has got triangle. They've got me. Oh, sorry. They're going to start right there. Lead singer's going to be right there. Alto's going to be right there. Tenor's going to be an octave high, though, but they got the same note. You notice that? Tenor's got a triangle, and so does the bass. They're singing the same note an octave apart. Just like that piano where it had C, and then you go down an octave and you have C. So if Brandon's going to sing bass for us today, I'm going to kick this off as a song leader. I gave my, and he's going to be singing, I gave my, which is easy for you and hard for me. I gave my life for thee. So Dylan, you do life for thee. I gave my life for thee. I'm singing tenor for everybody wants to follow that top set of notes on the bass clef. This is Zach singing right here, tenor. I gave my life, see how I went down to so. Do, 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 so, do, do, do. Tenor's easier than lead. I gave my life for thee. That's that. Brandon, I gave my life for. Now you might say, you said tenor was higher or lower than soprano. It is, but Brandon's the man. But he's not really singing soprano. That's what the lady's singing. He's singing it off the gloves. When the notes sing it, he's singing what we call lead in the church.
Well, like, I see this in the room due to my band background. Kind of like certain instruments have the same pitch, like where I play trombone too, but whenever we tune, your trombones can tune with a flute because they play the same notes, depth, and all.
There you go. Exactly.
That's the best way I can say it.
But how,
the same chord to blow on.
two things I want to make sure we're getting here. One, you're going to be shocked if we get all four parts going here, what that bass has, because we're singing the same thing as the tenor. When it's an octave low, it's a beautiful thing. Plus, they don't stay on the same thing all the time. They do right here, but then when they get to here, he's on a so note, he stays on the do, and that movement matters. Now, before we try to sing it, look here. I typed out for you what everybody's got: soprano, alto, tenor, bass. First note, that's what they sing. Second note, same thing. Third note, same thing. Fourth note, the lead part goes to a mi, and the alto goes from mi to do. They just switch parts. But there's only three notes in a major chord. So even though there's four parts, there's only three notes in a major chord. I know what you're thinking. We might sing a seventh chord, we might sing a ninth chord, a sixth chord, where we put a flat at seventh tenor. But generally speaking, for the most part in hymns, especially if we're not talking about those slurred notes where we're going D, they're going to fall for the most part into do, mi, or so. It's not nearly as complicated as everybody thinks it is. So we go back to, we really need bass singers, we really need tenor singers. All you got to do is get the key of the song, which I'll help you with, find your note, and I can still hear my dad. Somebody would we on Sunday nights, he'd say, any request, and they'd call out a song he'd never heard before. And he'd open that book and hear, and he'd, okay, and he'd leave it, because he could cite statements, and I can't. Why could he do it and I can't? Well, he was probably smarter than me, but number two, he worked. He loved him, and he worked at it. His grandfather could sight read statements, and Dad wanted to be able to do that. So we used to pull the blackboard down, and people would call out numbers, and they would write them down. And then all the song leaders would get up and cross whatever number off they felt comfortable leading, and they'd lead it. And in the end, when you had those 5 or 6 songs that nobody knew, my dad would get up and sight read it, because he'd worked so hard on that, and he could do it by sight. I can't. But I do know enough to understand that part of it. Is that making sense to all you guys a little bit? Kevin's looking at me like I'd like to kill you. Make it sense to you, Brandon?
It is, the biggest struggle is just being able to know what those notes need to be, like just knowing the pitch of each note.
Yeah, that's my struggle, like,
Yeah.
how do you find the,
Like,
Okay, so there's a couple of things. Now, this is gonna sound bad because again, my hearing is not what it used to be. Hearing is big. So when someone says, I don't know how to read music, I just play guitar by ear, they have a beautiful gift, and most guitar players, that's what they do, they play by ear. So when they hear two things that aren't matched, they hear it sounds like. And so they just have this natural ability to fix it. 9 out of 10 people would say, I can do it, but I don't even know how. That's just singing by ear. I believe many of us have that and don't know we have it. So what I believe will happen, and I'm picking on you and Brandon a lot because you guys are the ones I've been talking to about this. I believe with all of my heart from hearing you guys lead singing, and I believe Andrew with his band background might be the same way. I believe you would naturally go to that tenor part. I know for a fact that because I've heard you sing that. And he didn't know a lot of it. So Zach doesn't know I'm singing so. He doesn't know that. He just has an ear for this harmonizes, and it sounds good. Now, in doing that, sometimes you might sing the wrong note. You might sing the same note as the alto when you're supposed to go here. It's not off key. You just didn't go to the right one because you're not really reading the music, but you're still not really hurting things on it bad. You just didn't know the part. But if you really want it to be beautiful, then when the alto women hit that note, if you know which one to hit, to stay off of their note, then it gets really, really pretty. So the point I wanted to make, and that's why I made this chart with the red line, is to some degree, believe it or not, everything I've just told you kind of might go out the window. You don't need to sing in your hymn book and be thinking do, so, do. You don't. All you have to do is think, I'm going to sing tenor, same note, same note, same note down, same note, same note, same note, same note, same note up, and then let your ear do the rest. Because you'll fall into it, I promise. You'll be shocked, and you're going to feel like $1 million when it falls into place. More than you think. If I'm singing, I got to get back to the pitch pipe. Mike, how are you feeling today? Can you sing anything? So the struggle that I'm having with my hearing is I don't know that I can sing the alto part where it should be in a woman's voice. And when we sing that in a man's voice, we call that baritone. And I don't know if I've got the ear for it today. It's such a shame for those of you that didn't know Mike in his strong days. I'm almost embarrassed to talk about this in front of him because he could do all this. That's why he was directing the week of music week. He sang with choruses. He could sing any part. I could say sing the alto, sing the tenor, sing it in the alto voice for the women, not sing it baritone for the men. He could do all that. I can't. I wish I could. So back to our part. This song is in the key of C. No sharps or flats. We'll talk about that later. That's the key. But you notice no note is a triangle. So the key is C. That's not the starting note for the song. He doesn't start on C. He starts on the. So he starts on an E or a G. I mean, my friend's probably not. He starts right there. I gave my. The tenor is going to be on this note, and the bass is going to be an octave low. The alto is going to be here. Let's try to sing the alto. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed. That's if you were not.
oh, did you want me to do?
Not yet. I'll have you maybe do it when we do it. I'm going to try to get 4 parts in.
It does help, but if you have someone else do it.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I can do the part where I've been around Carolyn. I've heard you out there and I'm like, well, anyone I can do with that.
Yeah.
Hearing someone talking.
Well, here's the thing. You probably fall into 85% of all people. Bob is a really good singer. There are a lot of times at home that I'll say, Bobby, I can't remember how this goes. And he'll look at it and sing it for me. But if I say sing alto, it's a pretty good sing alto. But again, there are some songs he does, and sometimes you can have it memory. We went to camp, Sarah Carolyn, or Joe Smith would get out there. Just out and listen to them, and I've got to do it, it doesn't come natural. That's okay. That's okay, just when it does, plug into it, when it doesn't, same with you. But I think the more you do it, You still see Dad when he was teaching class, he put all those guys that had a bass voice, but they were bass singers. He put them here.
They did that one night too, I remember.
Sopranos here,
They separated it.
and the part. And then what you do from there, you got a Ben Thorpe who's got a bass voice, and stuff, everybody listen to Ben. Ben, you sing big loud, we're gonna sing a little dude, so everybody can hear Ben, follow Ben. And if we were going out today, we might go Karen, you really sing, and then these ladies listen to you and lock in on that part. And so we might do that at some point if we get the whole congregation involved. The problem I've had is I don't wanna do that in worship, because that's not really worship. If we don't do it in worship, our crowd.
Well, what if we did take it to do it like special services up here, like next?
Actually do that. Okay, I want to give you a second to catch your breath and absorb some of this, and then I want to try something. And then I want to explain why getting the song in the right key is so important for a song. I think you kind of already know that. But again, I'm going to pick on Brandon because I couldn't pick on him if he didn't fix it. But I'm telling you, you fix it. Brandon's natural voice is low. So if he just got to sing where he wanted to sing, he could sing a song he loved. But he's worked on not to. And so it's them. If they just sing it where it's comfortable to them, they're always going to get it too low because they're a deep voice. So they work on not doing that. Why do they do that? Well, because if instead of Brandon kicking this off, let's go back to, we said that the lead part right here on this song, every good, that's a G note, okay? The bass is singing clear down here, which if we go back and check that, the bass is on a do note, which is a C note clear down here, okay? So, that means that if Brandon kicks off the song, he's supposed to kick it off right here on the piano, above middle C on that G note. But what if Brandon does it where it's comfortable for him? And he moves it down to a B note. So this is how much lower Brandon made it. Well, here's Dylan singing bass. But because Brandon moved it that far, Dylan has to move it that far. Now Dylan's got to get an E note. Did you notice up there where the comfortable singing for a bass singer is? We just put Dylan out of the ring. Can't reach it. It's too low. Now, what if Zach Strickland, who sings higher, gets up and sings it too high? Same thing happens if it shifts the other way. Now you got the women roosting up in my head, trying to get that note that she can't reach because he got it too high. Now, are we always going to fix that? I've taught this and I've looked at it a million times, and half the time when I'm on lead singing, I don't have my pitch pipe, so I just do the best I can to do it. But if we get it close, and if we're aware of it, and we do the best we can with it, then we don't get it so low that we lose all the parts, and people can't reach the parts. That makes sense to you? That makes sense to you? And you guys have done a good job with it. If you hadn't, I couldn't bring this up, because I think I'm going to embarrass you. You've really done a good job when you're leading, you're putting it where it needs to be, rather than where you're comfortable with it. What I want to do from this is accomplish the ability that when you're not leading, you can sing bass and you can sing tenor. Man, I'm telling you, all you need is one or two people. You pick up a couple of women singing alto, a couple of tenor singers, a couple of bass singers, it changes our singing completely. Okay, let's try something here before we quit. So there's our song for a sample. There's a bunch of them we could use. But this is our one for today. Hey, that's me, Mike. Hi, Gabe. You're going to sing the baritone or the tenor? To give you a reminder, it's I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed. Okay. Don't be embarrassed. Just sing out loud. You're going to miss some of it. If you didn't miss it, we wouldn't be doing this. But I want you and Dylan together to be brave enough to hit this. I gave my life for thee, my precious, no, I did wrong. My precious blood I shed, or whatever I did wrong. Those are, you only got two notes. Do, 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 so, or whatever I did. Not a so, it's a fa. No, that's a so, I was on the second line. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed. That's why I was pointing to one so they can sing the other one. You're tenor. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed. You gotta stand there, some of you're out there, like, in your part.
Yeah.
Let's try it. Do, that faces and tenors, we have something. Soprano, I give my life for thee. My precious blood, I share. You were on the right note. You were on the right note. Is that making sense? There's the key of the song. Let me say this before we do it. I know you're probably anxious to do it. Some song leaders flow the key of the song. Some sing with the song leader flow the starting. So if you hear a guy blow a pitch and then you think he blew one pitch and sang another, well, some guys can go, and some guys blow the starting with. That's okay. I prefer blowing the key. You've heard Ben do it. He's giving everybody their part.
How do I, yeah, how do you find it? Or find mine? See, when you do.
Okay. I definitely will get back to that. Don't let me forget that. We may have to take some time on that. It's not as hard as you think. I brought this chart for you guys to have and to see. This shows you, number one, how to look at it and know what key it's in. There's other ways too. One quick little simple way, look for the do note. Look for the do note, and whatever note that triangle is written on, that's the key of the song.
The triangle is always the, yeah,
No, it's not always C, it's always key of the song.
always.
This particular song's in C. But if the song was written in the key of G, then that do note, that triangle would be written on the G line. Everywhere, by the way, there's more than one do note. In other words, look right here. Remember how we said these lines with spaces? Every good boy does fine. F-A-C, look at that triangle. It lands on C. Clear down here, still C. Here's the C. So there's this C, middle C, and then that C. Then it's just like if you were on the piano and you went C, 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 you know, so you're just hitting different C's in this song. Go ahead. Yeah, just keep going so it's high, we can't hear it anymore, or so low, we can't hear it anymore. But the triangle is always a symbol of the key of the song. It's always the do note. So one way for a song leader to figure out what key we're in is just find a do note. Look at your little chart if you need to, which I've got that in my notes even. I don't know the bass scale. Andrew probably does. But
Like, those lines,
yeah,
okay, so bottom line, B, B, D.
so yeah, so you're playing trombone, right? And that's written on that bass scale, bass stack. So again, the ways to remember this, your grade school music teacher is teaching you, and I wish I had him today, I hate you. Every good boy does fine is the line, and F-A-C-E is the spaces. On the bottom stack, all cows eat grass are the spaces, and good boys do fine always. Remember them saying that? That's your line. Again, you don't really have to know those things. All you have to know is that the bottom line on that bottom stack is a G, and then just know your alphabet. And you just start working your way up through counting spaces and lines. But once you find that triangle, you found the key of the song. The other way you can do it is C major has no sharps or flats. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're looking at a piano, and you play piano at all, you know that these black keys are sharps and flats, and the white keys are not. They're the notes, and then, so if we're playing down here, we're playing a G note, we go up to the black key, it's G sharp or A flat, then A sharp, B flat, there's no sharp or flat between B and C and E and F. So, if you are looking at that scale, C to C, and you're playing all the notes in that, you'll notice there's no sharp or flats in the key of C. Because you go up whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. I know I'm getting too fast. When you do do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, you move a whole step. So when you go to the key of G, what you're going to find in order to get that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, you got to go up and get one of the black keys. And so when you count how many of the black keys you have to play, it tells you what key that song is. And in the key of C, you'll hit no black keys. In the key of G, you're going to hit one. Sharp.
If you hear a note that sounds creepy, it's a start.
If you're feeling depressed,
Let's get off of that. Don't let me forget that you want help with that because we're getting in a little, that's like lesson 2 or 3 here, but it's not as hard as that. If nothing else, rather than trying to understand it, you can either memorize it or you can just have a cheat sheet. And you don't need a cheat sheet at church, you just need it at home. Pick out your songs, you go, okay, 2 flat. 2 little flat symbols up there. What's that mean? Well, you go over that little chart I'm about to give you, and the one that has 2 flats. Okay. That's even easier, yeah.
Like if you hear the piano.
Yeah. If we were a denominational church, I could show you really easy. We could go with, which is. Yeah.
It's a little bit harder for me, I think, with the board.
I agree. I understand that 100%. Okay, let's go back to our song. By the way, I want to make it clear. I think I said this, but I want to make it clear. I did not put this here to get you guys to think of so and me and do. I put that there so that you could see the first note as do, so, and me, the 3 harmonizing notes in it. So does the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. It continues on throughout the song. That's just all that is. I don't want you to sit there and try to think of whether you're singing a do or a re or a mi or a fa. I just want you to know those. So first note of the scale, third note of the scale, fifth note of the scale make harmony. By the way, if guys want to learn to play guitar, if the song's in the key of G, then when we're looking at a number system, the first note of the scale is the root chord, key of G. The 4th note is the second change, we call it. So C, you play that guitar, and then you go G to C, G to D, G to C. So 1, 4, 5. So if you're in a band with me and Aaron and Allison, Bradford, and Jake, and you say, I'd like to get up and do a song, and you get up and we're playing, and all of a sudden you don't know where this goes. If I hold up 2 to you and we're in the key of G, and I hold up a 2, it goes to A. Why? Because A is the second note of the key scale. We're in the key of G, and I want you to go to the second note. If I hold up a 4, go to C. I hold up a 5, go to G. That's a little secondary note for guitar players and people who are wanting to learn the Nashville number system. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, let's go back to singing this in harmony. C is the key. There's the 3 alto part for Mike. Now again, remember, Mike's not a female, but he's singing it in the male range, which is an octave lower, so we're going to call it barrier. He's actually going to be lower than Zach. But if we had our lady predominantly singing it, they'd be above Zach, and they would be singing the alto part, which is low for a woman, high for a guy. And Zach is singing in the tenor range, you 2 will be singing in the bass. Before we do this, let's have you 2 sing the bass by yourself. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed. Let's go somewhere else. What's wrong way? Let's do it again. Do the second line, a little different. Start with first. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed, that thou might ransom thee and quicken from the dead. That's it. Got it already. Okay, here's the notes. That's the basses. Mike, that's yours right there. That's okay. Ready? That was back a lot. That's a prayer. Here, here we go. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed, that thou might ransom me and quicken from the dead. Now notice, dead. Very good, by the way. What is that note? Do. What's that note? What's my note? We got 3 does. 3 does. We end on 3 does and 1 alto part singing the mi. So you don't always have all 3 parts represented. For beauty, the songwriter will decide he might put that alto down there so note, or I mean the tenor, you might go, oh, that's not a good way to end. And so you don't always have all three notes represented, what I'm saying. But the notes will always be something within that scale that works. Some of the more beautiful songs we have, especially if they're talking about the death of our Lord or something that's kind of solemn, they'll go to a minor chord or an augmented chord, and they're adding in beautiful chords that are more than those three notes. And then in another spot, you're only singing 2 out of the 3 here. So it's all up to the songwriter. Mike pointed out to me a couple of things as a guy who wrote songs. He said a lot of times when I was writing a song, if it was talking about being lifted high, I would have the melody go higher. If it was talking about the lows, what was the one song you wrote, Mike, that you, tell us the story.
Well, it talks about being something happening in your life that makes you sad, but Jesus raised from the dead. So the chorus goes, I've been broken, blessed, I have saved from every death. I thank you, Lord, for live. It goes up, lift it high, lift me when I fall.
Fall was low.
Fall low.
Doesn't have to be that way, but the reason I bring that up is because we sing songs like Low and Gravy Line, and those chords are kind of haunting, and we're painting a picture. I believe with all my heart that's why God gave us music, that's why He told us to sing. He didn't say just get up and say Low and the Gravy Line. We're saying Low and the Gravy Line, and then we get to the chords. After that third verse, it talks about him conquering death, it says, up from the grave he arose. We need a song leader that's looking at people going, up from the grave, and the people need to be, boom, our Lord rose. We don't have to be condemned to death because our Lord conquered that grave. We should sing it like we mean it. Can you imagine how different worship would be if we sang like that? And everybody had their parts, everybody understood, and everybody was enthusiastic. It's not all about getting every note. That's great, and it'll help. But more than that, I really believe more than that is just getting the tempo and the speed and the feeling behind it. And then when you add those parts, the other thing, the more people we have that can hit the part, just as Joe pointed out, the rest will follow in. They almost can't miss it. They may on their own not be able to totally, they say, I'm just not a music person, I can't. But when everybody around them is nailing it, they just fall into place. And I think that helps too. That's why you don't want to be afraid. You don't want to be afraid. You don't also want to be that guy that leads the singing from your pew. You know what I mean? You want to give the song leader control of the song. That's why we put him up there. It's not commanded that we have a song leader. It's commanded that we do things in decency and order. So that is to get us all together. And those judgments are made in order for us to have someone to follow. So you want to sing out. If you're confident, you know your part, you're a great benefit and helpful. At the same time, you don't want to bury everybody else and keep them from being able to add their part and contribute as well. So it's kind of a fine line, but that blend really matters. What do you think?
I think I'm done thinking.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
It's not tough to do fast.
Yeah. Questions, you'll start looking through your hymn book and playing around with it and thinking, oh man, I don't understand what he meant by that, or hey, can I look at your PowerPoint again, or whatever. A lot of this stuff is available on Google it and ask questions. Just remember that you're dealing with shaped notes, not notation. They're still on the same line, they still carry the same weight as far as timing. We didn't even talk about time, how long you hold the note and all of that. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But the shapes help us. Because, again, remember when I was finding this part, I'm like, okay, okay. Let's say we start to C and we go, man, that's a little too low, and move it to D. It's still do, mi, so. So once you learn your part in reference to the lead, it's always the same. That's why they use the number system on guitar charts. Because I might be, back when Mike and I were in the band and we would play songs with the Lincoln Theater, somebody would say, I want to do Chattahoochee by Alan Jackson. So we'd learn it. And then they come in and say, oh, I forgot to tell you, I can't sing a piece with Alan Jackson. I need to do it in D when it's written in C. So what did we do? Well, we played it in D. But we could look at somebody and one chord's still one. It used to be C, now it's D. But the 4 chord's still the 4 chord, and the 5 chord's still the 5 chord. And in a very real sense, that's what those shapes represent. That triangle is always do. no matter what key the song was written in. And that's gonna help you. Right now, it's confusing you, but over time, it's gonna help you because it makes it the same thing every song you choose, it's still the same. That's fine.
We could all try to sit in the same circle.
Yeah. So go back there and throw one of them on the screen.
Very good. Question. This one up. The pause, the two,
Don't pick it off the dome.
like the book said. But sometimes there's a few songs I know that we don't pause, when I thought that was a pause in the song.
Okay.
So, how do you know the difference when it is a pause, or are we not singing that?
Yeah, that goes back to timing. So it still applies the same way that it always applied, to notation. Again, this is one of those things where, again, I could literally teach class on timing. I play drums, I play several instruments. I could teach class, but I do not look at that and think, okay, that's a half note, I hold it this long, that's a quarter note, I hold it this long. There's a certain amount of knack that comes to it. So when you look at a song, this is a bad example, but I'm gonna use it because it's one we have up there. That says it's got a 6 and an 8 up there. But what that means is there are 6 eighth notes for every measure. The measure are these lines. So here's a line, here's a line. There's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eighth notes between those lines. A better example would be a song that we had that's in 4/4 time. So, sing the wondrous love of Jesus. That's 4/4 time. 6/8 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I'm a song leader, what's that? 3/4 times 3 quarter notes. See, 4/4 is 4 quarter notes, 6/8 is 6 eighth notes. Now you might say, okay, you're getting too deep. Here's the point. When you add this all up, when it has one tail on it, no tail, this tail coming down with no flag is a quarter note. So that's the same as 2 eighth notes. 2 eighth, that makes this visualize cups of water, or whatever you want to do to get it. Just like crack. So that's 2 of our 6. This has a tail, that's 1 eighth note. There's 2, that's 1. So between there and there, we've got 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. That adds up to 6 eighth notes. So what we're saying is, in very simple form, this word gets half as long as that word. That thou, I gave, I gave, I gave, I gave. See, gave has 2 eighth notes, I only has 1. Get back to 4/4, which is easier to do that with. If someone was leading with their hand, they would come down on the first note of every measure. I gave. See how gave follows right after the line here? That's the first note. So if I'm up here and I blow the pitch pipe and I get the key, do, mi, so, everybody's ready. I'll go, I gave my life to thee. The boom, and when I come down, everybody were on that measure. Why is that important? Well, a couple reasons. One, every time we sing the old rugged cross, on a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. We go, of suffering and shame, and I love that. And the songwriter's up there going, and he's trying to get back in because we didn't hold it long enough. A lot of times when a song has a repeat, like giving an example, when songs repeat, but we always rush to repeat. Huh? I don't know. But anyway, so back to answering your question, Kevin. When you're seeing, where did you say something was tied together here?
Right above it.
There?
Well, more so like above, the anthem D. It's kind of in the middle of the. I can't think of a song. There's one song we do, and it always catches me, but I always thought, oh, there's the one.
I know, Love Book to me had to repeat. Did we mess that one up over?
I think we actually get that one right, believe it or not.
Do you know, right? And of course it's in D.
That's a good example of the other thing we were pointing out. Do you know my Jesus? Do you know my Jesus? Da, 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 da. Have you heard? Boom. remember, have you heard about my Jesus? So he makes everybody go get that note. He did it on purpose. He wrote it that way to get that congregation to pick up. If you're a visitor on the community, and you haven't heard about Jesus, you're gonna take note when the congregation does that. So those kinds of things, when we don't, I'm not picking on this, I'm really not, I'm just going to anyone. And but when we're singing these great songs to God, think if we sang it, think about what it would mean to people if we did it like that. Like have you heard about this? Are you excited and writing about this? And it starts with the song. You know, hey, I'm not gonna give you any option but to do this with me. I used to tease Mike, he would get so into the song, and he'd get up there, his heads would be going, I said, I thought he was gonna sing it off my way, because he was really excited. But I mean, when he sang out, Know My Redeemer Lives, he sang it like he knew his Redeemer lived. And that really does help. Kevin, as best I can answer it quickly without getting into this chart explains a lot of it. For instance, let me give you an example.
It may be my misconception of understanding, like I said, I can't read them.
If I were to say for you to tell me hot cocoa, without even being musical, you would not say hot cocoa. You wouldn't make them all the same. You say hot cocoa. Hot quarter note, cocoa eighth note. Cocoa. You said cocoa twice as fast as you said hot. This is just people scrambled eggs. You don't say scrambled eggs, you say scrambled eggs. Scrambled is eighth note, egg is a quarter note. So that's what we're saying. You say, well, okay, you tell me that, but you didn't tell me how to know the difference. If it's a solid note with just a straight, that's a quarter. If it's got one flag, it's an eighth. If it's got two flags, which I don't think this one has any examples of, it's a 16th, which is moving quick. When you see things bracketed together, a lot of times that doesn't mean anything other than the fact that these two notes and these two notes are the same note, and they're just telling you to hold that while they give you two sets of notes. You notice like the alto I gave my life for D, I have to go as the lead, D, E, but Mike just goes up a half step, and the bass and the tenor didn't do anything, but they've got these lines telling them that they got to hold the whole time we're making our moves, but they don't move, they just sing the same note. But they put those bracket lines in there to show you that. I don't mean to brush off the question, but that's a whole like lesson too.
I just need to remember there's one particular song, I can't remember what it is, it always goes in the later. I don't understand the fruit flag, there's two.
I guess like this song, I don't know what they're doing now. Day long of Jesus time, couldn't wait. Instead it should be all day long of Jesus.
Right.
So that two doctors became the next words are gonna be like, or notes are gonna be back to back quick and back time up.
Again, what happens is the whole thing has to add up to whatever the original conversation says. So let's go back to 4/4. If you have a black note with one tail on it, it's a quarter note. There should be four of them, or the equivalent of four of those in that bracket. If you have a little dot behind it, it gets 1.5 its time. So I know it gets complicated, but now instead of being a quarter, it's 1 and. It gets half of in other words, you get the quarter and an eighth. And then somewhere in that bracket, I can assure you there's gonna be an eighth note to make up for that, because when you add the whole thing together, it needs to come out to one whole note. So you got a quarter note that's just a regular looking note with a flag. You've got an eighth note, which is the same thing with a tail on the bottom. 16th note has two tails, so some of the real fast trills, the things we do will be 16th note. And in some cases, you might see a quarter note with a dot. You figure, okay, that's 3 out of 4. Or no, that's 1.5 out of 4. Quarter note equals 1. Because it said we get 4 quarter notes, or 1 quarter note, one of those 4. The dot means a half a quarter note. So now I got, in the rest of this phrase, I've got 2.5. How do you get that? Well, it's up to the songwriter. He might have 2 16, an 8, and 2 more quarters. Or he might have, however, but when you add it all up, if you sit down and calculate it all up, it's going to come out to 4 every time. Here's really all that matters. Again, a lot of people look at it and think, we're never going to get that. Who's going to be looking at dots and counting that all out? I'm telling you, better than you think. If the song leader is leading, we get to the end of, when we all get to heaven, when we all, it's natural. We don't even need to count dots and notes, just watch his hand. What we do is da 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 Well, no, by that point, he's up there, he doesn't know what to do, because we didn't stay in time. That's where the hand does help. Again, don't have to have it, but it helps. But you almost can't mess it up unless you're trying, or unless you're just not paying any attention at all. And that, I still believe the same thing with the notes. I think if you have an ear for it, and you can look at those and go, we go up. One of our big weaknesses here at Duffy is a lot of the songs, we sing the chorus, the tune of the chorus with the verse. Because we're not looking at the note. And so, give me an example, Mike, of the one that,
Tell me a story.
no, there's the other one, what was the other one?
Love to tell the story.
I love to tell the story. Look, pull that one up for me, Dylan. And then there's the one Brandon's been leading for us, and I don't want him to give up on it. We sing it wrong. And when I say you don't mean you guys, they still probably did it right. Duffy has sung that song wrong for 25 or 30 years.
We saw
Brandon, huh?
We saw the not. That's when it talks about.
That's probably the one that mine.
We put.
That's the one. It always gets me.
Can you get rid of my thing here and bring up whatever one Mike brought up first?
275.
Okay, yeah. Look at the soprano again. I love to tell the story of unseen things above. If you look at those notes, I love, now go to the chorus. Look at that. I love to tell the story. You know how we sing it every time? Go back to the verse. I love to tell, that's what we sing every time. And the tenor and the bass, everybody's going, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because we sing the verse to the tune of the chorus. You don't have to be a music person. You don't have to be. But if you look at that before you start singing, and you go, okay, wait a minute, it doesn't hold the same note. It doesn't say, I love, like the chorus. It goes, I love to tell. That's all you need. It'll guide you into the right thing. Because you've heard it before, you just forgot. When I say you, I don't mean you, this group, but I just mean as a church. So it's supposed to be, I love to tell the story of unseen things above. We sing it. I love to tell the story. Every unseen things. And it doesn't even fit the words.
We're all scrambling.
Yeah. And we're all scrambling and the words don't fit the melody and we're trying to figure out what went wrong because we're singing the wrong tune. So that's the whole purpose of what I want to do here. These great musical giants. I'm just saying, if we just pay attention to those little things, you'd be surprised how much that'll fit.
The other song is, by God, no. A lot of times we end up before.
And yeah, you're right. There's so many songs we could spend weeks just picking a song every month that we're going to correct the mistakes on and get it better.
Well, one thing I noticed when I'm doing the songs, I try to be mindful of that, or ones that hold out, not the flip the screen. So to encourage you to go to the next.
I agree. That's a challenge for the guys flipping the screen too, to know.
Because when you go to hold it out and the song is not, then you're trying to catch up.
Yeah, the other things.
Yeah.
Again, so like I say, I can't read the notes, but there's enough there that I kind of know what the, like, don't, you gotta hold it out. And sometimes it depends on who's here, like Karen, I can catch her, sometimes I know there's a lot of songs we don't hold out that she does.
Yeah.
By sitting in front of her, a lot of times I catch it.
And by the way, I'm not picking on Duffy because Duffy does sing a lot of them wrong, but I go other places and they sing other songs wrong. They just don't sing the same ones wrong we do. And so it's just funny. Everybody's got their, you know, we've just all done for years and everybody's got their personality they put in it. But again,
Like it's hard, it's that one is. One song,
well, I've heard it done.
one of the most popular songs.
Yeah.
Congregation Lord, 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 Major Great. Like, okay, so that's out, it's like.
Yeah.
We should consider your
Based on what, like, obviously there's a dog.
Oh, you're talking about the old, and the key, the minor key. Wait, And this player again, the reason for help, the truth is, if you look up Blueberry Strange, just Google it, you'll find, I don't know what the original guy was, but you'll find that's one of the songs that's changed like all the serial players.
It's not just a leader, not just being a leader, but now you have everyone, here in some of them, singing on the
numbers like that.
So I'm trying to be careful not to respect the way Aaron might be leaving something like David, so play on. And so, not to mention, I think everyone else would be.
And the minute you start that, like now we're nervous, it's going to stop and this and everything's going to get back. I agree. Is that, okay. Is that Kelly? No. Go ahead. Oh, that's Blue. Stay there. I forgot about that. One of you guys that know this, just help us out with this first part of this. We sing, again, I think we're singing the chorus.
It's down the chorus has two slides, and so it goes, it's supposed to go, but we, and then 2 lines later it goes, but we.
Yeah,
Just singing.
now see again, that's a great example. I gotta write that down. Don't let me forget to write this into my notes. It's a great example of exactly what we're talking about. You don't have to be a music guy, but look at that top note and see that it's not going, but we believe. It doesn't do that. It's, but we believe, thy footsteps trod, steps trod. Sorry, I sang it wrong. The chorus, go to that, Dylan. Or the next stanza, I mean. Yep. But we believe, thy footsteps trod. See how it's different? And we sing this phrase over and over again. We never sing it the other way. And the problem is, if you're only looking at the soprano, that's one thing, but look at the tenor here, by the way, guys. Anybody wants to learn to lead tenor or sing tenor? That whole line's a do note, and then the second line is all so note. Not that hard. All you gotta do is find it and lock in. And you might think, that's gonna sound terrible. It would if we were recording it by yourself, but boy, when that's played against the other harmony parts, it's gorgeous. It's amazing how easy singing harmony parts are once you just get around somebody that does it and have a little bit of an understanding. And so again, you don't have to know it's a so note. You don't even have to know it's a quarter note. You don't have to know much of anything. You don't have to know the key of the song. All you know is, I don't go up or down. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We're all singing do notes and octave apart. That's another one we sing wrong, looking for the mic.
I have I need to keep this in, I need to sing because it's.
Okay.
Right.
So there's a couple of different things. We see the time signature, 12/8. So that's going to have 12 eighth notes per measure. But for the sake of getting the key, see the 3 sharp symbols? Yeah. That means it's an A. Now, I can give you all the reasons why that means it's an A, but for now, the best thing you could do is have one of these charts. And you look at one that has 3 sharps and say that's an A. But here's another way to do it if you don't have your chart with you. Look for a do note. The first one I see is on the word day. See the lead soprano? F-A-C-E, that's an A right there. So that song is in the key of A. Now, it doesn't have to be in the soprano that you find the do note. If you know the bass clef, the very first note has a do for the tenor, and it's written on the A line. So, Zach, if you're leading singing, if you want to get real fancy, you blow an A note, and you say do, and Brandon and Dylan find the bass, Mike finds the tenor, Carolyn finds that so note, and only I'm on the wrong line, I could clear up, same different bass stuff, or me, she's got a me for the alto, because it's a triangle, or a diamond, and then you go to so. So when you blow A, and it says do, mi, Carolyn goes to me, and then you go so, do, mi, so, that's where you're gonna start singing. And the bass and the tenor are gonna go on the do, if they know they're a do. They may not. But after the day, some of us do. And we'll just keep spreading it throughout the congregation, but you don't even have to go through all that. Here's another problem we have, and I'm not picking on it. Let's think of 3 or 4 things we could do to improve our singing right now and know nothing about music. One, let's all start singing. Song leader sings, he gets through the first verse of the chorus, to the end of the chorus, and he comes back, and how many times does he sing the first 4 words before any of the rest of us jump in, me included? We're just kind of sorry about that, we'll get in there in a minute. And so we finally kind of drift back in. That's one way. Number 2, get the tempos. Number 3, get the pitch in a reasonable area where everybody can sing their part. You don't have to learn to read a stitch of music to do those 3 things. And then sit up in your chair and actually listen to the words. And if it's talking about nailing our Lord to the cross, we're probably going to sing it slow and sorrowful. And if it's talking about raising from the grave, we're going to 10,000 angels. They, what is the word, the first word of the word? Found the hands of Jesus in the garden where he lay. He could have called 10,000, and it says right in the music, louder, get louder right here, get faster, get excited. It's literally written in the music. And then we go back to the verbs. They found the, what a difference and how we feel about it if we sang it that way.
Motion in your.
It's the same way with preachers. I'm not good at it. It comes a little natural for me because I'm an animated person and loud, but I'm not as good as some. You go hear these preachers that preach the same sermon 1,000 times and they're meeting preachers and stuff, and they can draw you into the picture of the pain with their voice. And when they get soft and when they get, you can see everything they're saying, and then all of a sudden they get loud and you're just right there with them. We're doing the same thing with our singing. We're painting that picture, and that emotion and that feeling comes into play. Do you want to grab, okay, there's 404. Let's look at this real quick, and then we'll let you go. Oh my God. So, again, key of A, that's the one we were just doing. So, I don't know. There's better. It's going back to my. So, if you all could see what I can see here, when I hit the do note, that's an A. The mi note is a D flat or a C sharp, actually, in that key. The mi note is a C sharp. That's one of those 3 sharps that's written up there. Look on the staff right here. The sharps are written, those hashtag symbols we see nowadays. That first one you see, the lowest one, is written on the 3rd space. Remember, F-A-C-E? So every time there's a C note, it's actually not a C, it's a C sharp. If you were playing this on the piano, guess what would happen? When you get to the C on the piano, you don't play that note, you play the black key up above it because you're playing C sharp. How do you know that? Well, if you were going A scale, and you're going do, re, mi, when you get to the C, you'll be like, that's too flat, that's too low. Oh, the black one sounds better. So there's 3 sharps. If you're playing an A scale, there's going to be 3 times you have to play a black key. The first one there is in the key of C. So when we're trying to get those notes, and you notice clear out here, when you find that mi note, that diamond, it's written on the 3rd space up. But if you track that all the way back to the beginning, it tells you that's going to be a sharp. That mi note's going to be a C sharp. Because in the key of A, the C note is a C sharp. So that's a little extra that you maybe didn't want to hear. A. So A is the tenor percent. Tenor for everybody else in bass. Then so, Mike, looking to, yeah, it's looking to thee from day to day, but you're not going to be able to reach that. And then, so looking to thee from day to day, trusting along thy grace. No, I'm sorry, that's not wrong. Trusting thy grace along the way. That's good for now. Soprano singers, looking to slightly up thee, looking to thee from right back down where you were. So, that's a fa, doesn't matter. Da, 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 da. See how it's going up, just keeps going up. Da, da, da. Looking to thee from day to day. Trust, same note, day, trust, same note, day, trusting thy grace along the way. That's the lead. Tenor. Looking to thee from day to day, trusting thy grace along the way. Tenor part's so simple, it's scary. Bass. Looking to thee from day to day, trusting thy grace along the way. Much better. Not as hard as it seems, it's just getting locked in, trying it a little bit.
Like, down back there, I don't have any lessons, I'm trying to figure it out sometimes, but that's the other thing, I don't want to do that too much. Really, going on, yeah.
You really ought to try to do this once in a while, maybe not for this long, but just when the summer comes, especially when I'm worried about darkness and cold. Maybe just stay for a half hour and just have a song that we all been working on at home. Yeah, I've been working on the bass part. Yeah, get in a circle. Maybe we talk Carolyn and a couple others that are pretty confident in their part to stay. So let me sit by you and you look at those notes. And again, I say Carolyn all the time because I know I can hear her. She's a good singer, but I don't know if she's looking at the notes or she just. But I don't know how much she knows. She may know all. Maybe she plays in the band, maybe she's studying music. But you know, you may be sitting there and saying, what does that mean? She was singing. That's just a natural ability. Some people do. Yeah. Whiskey tenor, what we kind of call whiskey tenor, is when someone is singing a harmony part, but they have no understanding. So you got to remember again, do, mi, so, harmonize. Well, you can ride that so note forever, or you can switch around. Some people, like, I've sat by people before and they never go off key, but they don't sing any one of those parts the way they're written. They're just singing along, they're singing tenor for a while, then they're singing alto, and then they sing the bass note here. And they're not off key, they're going strictly by ear, and they're good enough with their ear to know if they're going to stay on key, but they're not really singing any of the parts. That didn't hurt you too bad, but it hurts a little bit because again, those parts are there for a reason. It's beautiful. It's kind of like going to the symphony and all of a sudden the trumpet player starts ripping out a clarinet part. It's like, that's not too far, you know what I mean? So
I go with that, there, you can hear that playing this.
but it really does, I mean, it really would help our singing if we could get everybody on the same page a little bit and just kind of work toward this.
We just label everybody on the way in and then label the cube and.
There's a sticker on the green bluebird. I love it.
Your bass.
And then if they don't do well, we move on to the section. Again, as we close, I'll say that we're doing fine, and I really believe in our goal for what our God wants us to do. Really, most of what we talked about today has nothing to do with it. And so that's why I stressed at the beginning, I don't want anybody to think, oh man, I shouldn't even, Kelly has said that before, he's like, I shouldn't even be leading singing. I don't want somebody to say that or feel that way at all. And we do everything we do the best we can. And, our best is beautiful to God. I mean, you know that. But I say that also to say, in some ways, with song leading is the least of our worries. I think if we can get parts and stuff into this, it's going to help in song leading tremendously. Okay, how about wrapped up voice wise? I'm not going to preach that. Any thoughts or questions before we hang it up for now?
Well, maybe not even later, but there are some songs, few songs that lead to gospel. That's a hard one to function.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's what we're doing often. That's some of the ones. You guys, we moved past those. John, can you help me remember some of the numbers of the ones you had up there? Because they were great examples. One of them was, I already forget. I wanted to remember that. We saw the amount. Yeah, that was the one. What's the number again? 7.26. if you guys notice, believe me, there's plenty of them. If you notice in our singings that we're doing one wrong, or even as a song leader, you think, man, they're driving me crazy, they're doing it wrong. Bring it to my attention, I'll write it in my notes, and then as we're doing this and we get more people involved, we can address it and fix it. Again, most of it's not that we can't fix it. If we can sing it the way it is in the chorus, we can sing it the way it is in the verse. We just haven't noticed it. We didn't know we were doing it wrong because we're not looking at the note. You see what I'm saying about the fact that you don't have to be a music person to see that looking to is all the same note. So you just don't move.
There suggested, hey, let's do this one a bit quicker. And probably was normally like, I did Amazing Grace. A lot of Amazing Grace, kind of slow and somber. And then we did Amazing Grace one time. I think, yeah, in a lot of ways, communication, keeping, if everyone's on the same page with what each individual or what every song is doing, and play it over for people. And even when that song doesn't call for, hey, we want to kind of slow down here or call or quiet down, then maybe the song doesn't call for it. But yeah, watch and keep a note of what the song is doing. Bring it out. I've heard different versions and stuff that all of the song, the melody, everything's the same. It's literally they slow down in one spot and it really hit the feeling different.
I got tickled, by the way. I'll tell you this little quick story on Andrew. Andrew had some, training and things and stuff. And I said something in one of our worship services about a bird. And that's that deal where you got a little eyebrow and you got a dot in it. And what that means when you get that is generally at the end of a phrase. It might be in the middle of a phrase over a specific word. And what it's saying is that disregard the normal count here, the length of time this word should be held out. And you can hold it for an defined amount of time. And so when you see that, generally the song leader will be the one to direct when you stop and move on. I'm trying to think of a good example of that, but there'll be a big powerful note or something, and again, it'll have that bird's eye above it. That's what I call it. And on the way out, she looked at me and he said, I've never heard anyone call it a motto or a bird's eye before. But I thought, well, my dad always called it that. Maybe that was just a hillbilly name for it because it looks like a bird's eye. But I looked it up when I was preparing for stuff in this class, and they do call it both. So I guess, but it just cracked me up to make me think of my dad because he said, I've never heard anyone. And it just, I don't know, maybe it's dad. But that's, again, stuff that we may or may not know. If you don't know what a bird's eye or a pomada is, it doesn't matter. If you're looking at the song leader and he's holding you, then hold until he starts it. And, and that's kind of what I think helps more than anything.
Flangy finger, I mean, it's all the same.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a primata either. It's a bird's eye rest.
Yeah.
There's names for everything.
He's trying to get in trouble. Very careful, he's pretty glad. He wants to reach the buckle. He said you keep trying to hold down and around that.
I think
2 out.
the best thing was that when you announced it, Tony's like, what? You never heard.
I hear you sound like a hood cover.
What time did you text me?
1 a.m.
Yeah, something like that. She told me, she said, he won't be home for a while. I said, that's all right, tell him to text me. I said, if I'm awake, I'll answer him. If not, I'll answer him in the morning. So I was really glad he texted because I fell asleep in the recliner. And man, when you do that, you wake up the next morning, you feel terrible, or you wake up in the middle of the night. He texted and I woke up and I looked at it and I thought, thank you. But he gave me the thumbs up and he's good to go. That's good. All right, let's hang it up for now, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it. Hope you got something out of it. Great. Yes, sir.
You talk to that.
Talk into this. Check 1, 2.
We're gonna catch up. See, here how that's kind of cut out. That's you talking there.
Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
When we
You can hear him, it just cut out.
Yeah.
Well, he was when he was up there, it did it, but then he stood down here and, because there wasn't very many here on Sunday nights. He stood down here and we talked more than we did when he was standing up there, but it still cut out.
This mic's cutting it out.
Linda just started talking, and picked her up for a little bit and cut away, so it must be perfect. No, but I'm wondering if there is something to do with the limiter on the, you know, it's like picking up bassy voices.
We can hear,
Like the don't touch a thing.
we can hear. And we could hear,
So what problem is happening, but again, question is how fix it. Apparently, is, and it's too loud, so we'll have to try to cut it back. The live stream on this thing headphones, because right now, I think the only one we have actually using most of the headphones is people did that Twyla and did all the stuff. So the listening enhancement, the live stream, and that television downstairs, and what we call the sick room, people are kind of stuck, me got cold, my head cold, whatever they want to come, they want to be away from them, down there. They're all off the same set of volume control, the same. So you're trying to blend, to where like right now, when you walk in downstairs, they're trying to feed you all the way to the tape. But yeah, it's a sort of live. So we're gonna have to try to figure out how to get less on the live stream and keep what we got on TV. And I'm not sure about those, if I hit one of those. We'll definitely, I didn't realize that, I thought, boy, we got really big on the change.
Tonight, I was not sure that. That's something, you know. I don't know, you know, yeah, something I know I missed. It's nothing easy. Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is not so easy. Maybe so time I can catch enough, I knew what you said, so.
You guys, if I turn, hey, what if I turn down the volume on that headphone out that's going to left ear? What if I crack that down a little bit? You think that's just preamping it again too much?
I think that is turning that microphone to the crowd, like really down or something where it is starting with the pulpit mic. See it what's all on the words, you put them in a.
Okay. I did two things, just so everybody's on page with me. I turned down the output, a little bit of a listening hand, turn the feedback, and then turn down my. You want to do it here? Hey. Okay. Let me turn down this mic completely and see if it cuts out, then I'll put it back and turn down this mic completely. On 10? Okay. Okay. We're gonna have to quit referring to this as a live stream and call it a slightly delayed stream. Check 1, 2, mic check 1, 2. See if it's cutting out any. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Check 1, 2. Come on, people, you need to come forward. Richard, I know you've got sin in your life. 1, 2, 3, mic check. 1, 2, 3, mic check. I probably would be standing back here, but I also would probably be talking louder. 1, 2, mic check. 1, 2. This should just be the pulpit mic when I walk. Heading out. No, but see what's happening with it. This mic is a super cardioid mic. It's like this, and it will only look at what happens when I do this. Completely goes what? That's on purpose. In a little while, we'll be able to see if that one works. Check 1, 2, mic check. I've got it turned down some, but it could be that this mic's full of dust too, because they forgot to take it down when they cut that hole for the duct. Could just be that like. Do what?
I think when it's done that, or for the last time,
It's it could be a problem with the wire gut. Yeah, maybe it's the problem with what?
It's sticking out again, but
Okay, I'm gonna switch that mic and see what happens. I don't know what I've got over there, but I may just go get another mic and plug into that and just see what happens.
You think God
that was actually the first period.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah. The second one. Check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, I turned it down. Let me turn it back up. Check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check.
Me. Good distance. Making a comment. Yeah. All right, can you hear me? All down. Can you hear it? Yeah, I can hear me slightly. Yeah, I can hear me a little bit. I can hear you.
Well,
I can hear you a little bit.
Okay, now watch when I turn the other mic on. Let's see if it cuts on out. I forget how loud to turn that mic. I forget how loud to turn it. It doesn't affect what they hear in here. It just affects what you guys hear. Is that loud enough? And that, it does. I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Technically, we're getting the same mix, but in very reality, just like you said, by the time you figure it out on the internet computer, it's one of the things that it has full quality.
Well, I'm wondering.
They actually reduce the quality. Well, no, those are, you know, like the E2 or the big E2 have 31. Whenever we were mixing projects that we played on the radio, we always had to put a tool called multi-band compression. Basically, we compress every one of those sliders for 31 bands individually. So that when a guy kicked the kick drum, it didn't squash the vocal band. And so that's what I'm saying, putting stuff on the radio, the internet, that's TV, like that's a complicated thing if you really want it to be good. Now, today's world of digital, there's presets and stuff, like you're talking about all those mixers, you're talking about one button, and it's already preset to do that. But when you're dealing with old analog stuff, it's, you know, it could be one of 1,000.
I mentioned, I don't think it's been on bid rate, but it seemed to be a pretty standard. I mean, whenever I've done stuff on it, I've gone 192 and what that matter. But you have the internet, you're kind of like,
We did that before because we were originally streaming.
I don't know, I'm probably fine.
We didn't have. So we have to do the file now. So we wouldn't have to do it.
I mean, first time I called, I came in, I think, that's basically the issue with the quality. I was like, wait a minute, we have a fire now. Visual quality. So I just went and did that. And then I did this with the audio smart, the wireless mic test out. But and the mishap was the beauty of the whole thing. I did go back to the and I don't know where it was. And Dad says that when pulpit stuff was good, and I tried it, what he's thinking of is when all that. That's when
Testing, testing, testing.
He's up there with that very good. It was working fine after, well, after it was working well. I know where it is.
I think there's so many things that happen with that, the loop. It's not about me, but they didn't know where the jack thing was, so you go to move forward, check that cord, and, you know, so by the time, but I came back and there was problems, and it turned out to be not related to that, in my view. It was like we had a dirty control. Literally, if I checked the control, start working, and then it quit, and that technical work, so I was going to clean, and that solved that. But after that, so that's about the same.